earn this funding.
Do you have a message for those investors that may be a little angry or upset that results haven't happened sooner?
I get it. You know, nobody's more frustrated than me. Okay, and particularly if you're in the public, because we can't talk about our funding activities, it looks like absolutely we've done nothing for a year. Trust me, we've been working our behinds off all year, right? And we were very close to having it solved once or twice. But because we can't disclose all that, from the outside it looks like there's no lights on, and I get that frustration. The only thing I can say to counteract that is we didn't give up. I think there's a lot of folks, a lot of companies that would have said, well, we tried, and we have not given up. We have an incredibly tenacious team, and like I said, I think we finally solved the puzzle.
Do you think your visit today will help show that?
I don't know. I think that at this point, it's going to take more successes before people lose their frustration. You know what I mean? Like, we're making a beginning, and the conversation's starting again. But I honestly, I think we owe a few more successes before that frustration will subside in a meaningful way.
Will you have equipment at the plant to actually manufacture the cars? Because from my understanding, it's all been sold off.
No, so there was a lot of equipment at that facility. Some of it didn't fit our footprint, some of it was too big, some of it was obsolete. Everything that is there that would build an Elio is still there, ready to build an Elio. We believe that, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so the rest of the story is, we got this back in 2011, 2012. Well,
2013.
2013.
January 2013.
2011, 2012.
Well, yeah, I personally invested in 2011.
That's what I'm getting at.
and
so
others.
You did that. So now, here it is, 2018, and still no product. And you already said $700 million in reservations.
If you take 65,000 and, like I said, do an average product mix of standard to automatic, because automatic's are more expensive.
Right.
And then we add our options after you purchase the vehicle. You make a reasonable assumption on the number of average options. And multiply that times 65,000, you get, yeah, 700 million.
Well, if that's the case, then, and you still owe, you say you still need about $750 million.
No, that'd be 750 billion. No,
I
said
$750 million, which would be about, yeah, you know.
That'd be 750 million. We don't need anywhere near
You don't need that.
3/4.
You need 376 million.
That's the publicly disclosed number, and as I said, we've made some strategic partnerships that will bring that down. I hope to be able to announce those in the next month or two.
Has the design changed significantly, comparable to current product that is proposed by other manufacturers such as Sondor Electric?
So I think that our design is modern, absolutely. It has the same parts on it as any current production vehicle. That's one of the things about Elio Motors, is there's no new technology on this vehicle. So every part already exists in the supply base from the names that I was listing off, and we're putting them together in a unique way. So,
but there are new products that have come online since the announcement, and there's new design products. Sondor is releasing their vehicle in the $10,000 range in 2019. It will be delivered. Where will Elio compare to a product such as that?
well, I think we're superior. You know, at $7,500 and 84 miles per gallon, and there's lots of gas stations around, I think it's
theirs is 100% electric.
Exactly. That's my point. So at 84 miles per gallon and $7,500, that value proposition is superior, and there's a lot of infrastructure for gas cars.
So, and one other thing, are you meeting with any other commissioners and with the Caddo Parish Commission? And a follow-up to that, if you will, have they been asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement?
Yes. So in order to give a better update to the commissioners, I can only speak under NDA, otherwise it's the questions that I can answer here. So that I'm answering what I can publicly here, and those who are interested in knowing more need to sign a non-disclosure, and I can give a little bit more of the story.
Tell us again the reason for the secrecy.
SEC rules primarily. So when you're a publicly traded company and you're doing fundraising, there's a lot of rules on what you can and cannot say publicly.
So just to confirm, you said production is set to begin in a little over 70 weeks. That's when we can see those 1,500 jobs coming to Caddo Parish.
Correct.
How safe are these cars?
We've designed it to the highest automotive safety standards. So it has 3 airbags front and 2 side. It's like the safety sensors are from Bosch. It's all mainstream stuff. It's out in production. We've spent an enormous amount of time in crash simulation to make sure that this vehicle will be very, very safe. The next step of the project as we ramp up is we'll complete the E-Series build that we began. We built 3, we're going to build another 20. We'll run a total of 92 tests on those 20 vehicles. The last one of those tests on each vehicle is destructive, so sadly none of the 20 will remain. But we intend to do front side and rear impact twice. So 6 of those vehicles will end their life cycle in crash tests.
So it's about 70 or so weeks till production starts. When do you expect to see the first car hit the road?
Well, that's first saleable vehicle. So we'll build, I believe, 150 prototypes between now and then. So there'll be a lot of Elios running around before then. But that's first saleable vehicle to the public. It's 76 weeks.
Give us the name of the investment company that's going to be backing you with the big money.
Jones Trading, and that was in our press release. I think it was April 24th. They were named.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you clarify for me how much total money have you brought into your company over these, since conception? I mean, I keep hearing numbers of deposits and money investors have put in. How much total money have you brought into your company since you got it rolling?
So it's about 115 million total investment in Elio Motors.
And that's investor money, that's deposit money, that's
Loans, yeah, that's everything that we had access to.
and
Yes.
a $700 million number that you just cited as future sales.
Right. When we sell those 65,000 vehicles, it translates to $700 million. And that's what I'm saying. Why I believe we've earned the funding. Not many companies who are pre-revenue, who are looking for money, can say, "Look, I have reservations for $700 million of product to be sold." That's a substantial number, right?
Okay. When will Jones Trading go to market with your STOs?
Soon. So there again, that's where I really can't talk much about what's going on there. So we've announced that we're doing an STO, the process and what our token looks like, all that is not disclosed yet. And so I apologize that I'm going to advise that question.
Are you still awaiting final regulatory approval on that? You said it's not regulated.
No, it is regulated. So we are choosing to be regulated. So you're right, we could do an ICO and do this unregulated and move much faster. Instead, we're going to treat this as a security, and that's why we call it, to differentiate that between the ICOs, we're calling it an STO. And yes, we're following all the same rules as if it were a stock.
So are you still waiting for regulators to bless it?
So like I said, I can't really talk about the timing on this, but watch in the coming weeks, and there should be some good information coming out.
Am I correct that Elio has a lease with IRG and IRG has a lease with the commission for the GM plant?
That's approximately correct. There's a Shreveport Business Park is who we have the lease with, and I believe IRG has a controlling interest in the Shreveport Business Park.
Your lease is with Shreveport
Business Park.
And who are the principals in that? Do you know?
IRG. So that's what I'm saying is,
Stuart Lichter?
yes.
Okay, and I guess I want to wrap this up with a big question for you. Non-disclosure agreements, here with meeting with people in secrecy and understanding that you are facing all of these things. $700 million is the estimated money you could get in. Technically, you don't have that money, right?
No, yeah, if I implied that, I didn't mean to. No, we do not have that money.
Okay, so you only have about 115 million?
Well, that's what we spent so far on the project, yes.
Okay.
How much of that 115 million came from sales of assets at the former GM plant?
Fraction. A few million. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Mr.
Okay.
Elio, why do you
So-
believe so much in this product?
Well, I believe this project has to happen. It has an incredible impact to our country. You know, first is the jobs. You know, we're targeting 90% North American content. Last time we rolled it up, we were at 87%. So I won't guarantee we'll hit 90, but it'll be a number we can be proud of. And if you take the jobs here, the jobs in the supply base, and then the economic development folks typically give you 6 in the community for every direct manufacturing job, you know, restaurants, barbers, that kind of thing. We'll create 20,000 new American jobs over the next year and a half. That's a meaningful number. After 5 years of sales, we can reduce total U.S. gas consumption by nearly 0.5%. Total U.S. gas consumption. That's more than the entire electric car industry. And we can do that all by ourselves because of the price point, we can put a tremendous number of these on the road. And lastly, and this one doesn't jump out at you, if you're struggling in this country, your biggest issue is mobility. There's a Harvard economist that did a study a couple of years ago that showed that mobility was the #1 predictor on whether you get out of poverty or not. It correlated better than test grades in your grade schools, the #2 parent households, or crime rates. The #1 predictor was mobility. Jersey did a study where they claimed that 60% of their chronically unemployed have had to turn down jobs because they couldn't get to the job. And at $7,500 and 84 miles per gallon, you can get to your job. So that's why I don't give up. This project has to happen. It makes too much impact to too many folks.
Why do you think?
So I think Representative Johnson, so we'll do one more question and then.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Why do you think this car, even after it's hypothetically developed in 2019, why do you think it's going to be successful?
Well, I think the value proposition, first and foremost, 84 miles per gallon, $7,500. Either one of them by themselves is compelling. Together, it's overwhelming. So there's 100 million cars on the road today that are 11 years old or older. And not all of them are clunkers, right? There's some well-maintained 13-year-old cars out there. But there are a lot of clunkers out there. And people are passing them up trying to get to work. And I can't tell you how many small business owners I've talked to about this project say, yeah, I just laid off one of my best employees last week because his car broke down and he didn't show up for 3 days. So there are people who really need this product. On the other end of the spectrum, America has a love affair with big vehicles, and it's for a reason. We like to disparage ourselves as being dumb, sloppy, and lazy. It's not true. You can't get plywood home from Home Depot in a Prius. You can't tow a boat with a Nissan Versa. Like, we buy big vehicles for a reason. And then we end up driving all that metal back and forth to work. At $7,500 and 84 miles per gallon, you're better off owning a pickup and an Elio than just a pickup. And so we have the and sales on the one side of the spectrum and the people who desperately need the transportation on the other. I don't know of any other automotive product that cuts that wide a swath.
How's the climate control going to work in the South on these vehicles?
So it's mainstream HVAC like any other car. Like I said, all these parts already exist, so it's out of another vehicle. So,
And $7,500 is an HVAC vehicle.
Yeah, so that has 3 airbags, cruise control, power windows, power door locks, stereo, analog brakes, electronic stability control, all standard.
Air conditioning?
And air conditioning, yes. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Elio. Each of you, I thank you for coming out this morning. Once again, the parish deserves to have contact with the Elio project. I know that with it being in my district, that my constituents and all citizens do. I thank Mr. Elio for coming out today. I thank you for coming out today. And my commitment is that we will continue to stay abreast of the project, get as much information as we can, and to respectfully bring it to the citizens of Caddo Parish. Lastly, I am not representing the parish on today. I'm representing my district as a commissioner in which the GM plant sits, and that's why I called the press conference on today.
Louis?
Yes, sir.
Final thought.
Yes, sir.
You called the press conference. He's already indicated he's going to be meeting with other commissioners.
That's correct, sir.
Is he going to be meeting with you?
Yes, sir, that is
Are
correct.
you going to sign an NDA?
Yes, sir, I am.
How many do you know that are going to be, he will meet with, and how long will he be here?
I'm not sure how, he will be here throughout the meeting. I'm not sure how many other commissioners. I know each commissioner is aware of it and has been invited. so I cannot speak for the other commissioners, but I can say that I am going to be at the meeting. I have signed an NDA. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have regarding that. And that becomes a point of contention with quite a few of our citizens, and I understand that. But the reason I am signing a non-disclosure agreement is because I was elected to represent the citizens of my district. And if I'm going to do that, I need to do it from a position of strength. Position of strength is to get as much information as I can about what's happening in that particular district as relates to that project. And so by signing the NDA, I put myself in a position to know what's going on and then to have an informed position as opposed to having opinions or as opposed to doing interviews and not having any information as to what's going on. So, and it's not uncommon. I did a little research. It's not uncommon to sign NDAs when you're talking about multi-million-dollar projects and doing business with companies. So I'm doing it with the greatest degree of respect and integrity, but I'm doing it so that I can be informed and thereby make sure that my citizens and the people I represent have information as well.
But we are not under a transparent rule with that, correct?
What do you mean by that?
Is that in signing the NDA, you cannot explain transparency to the people what was talked about.
I cannot disclose that non-disclosed information, obviously. I can't say whether I think it's positive or negative, whether I'm encouraged or discouraged, and that information will give me that information. But obviously, if it's a non-disclosure, I cannot disclose that information, sir. Any other questions at all?
What did you think of Mr. Elio's comments today?
Well, personally, I'm not here to represent Mr. Elio. I'm not here to represent the parish. But since you asked the question, I'm encouraged that he came back to our city. I'm encouraged that he came before the parish to answer those questions that you might have. And I'm also encouraged that the project is moving forward. That's my personal opinion about it.
You said your constituents have come to you with their own questions and concerns. What have those been?
It's not uncommon that people in Caddo, hey man, what's going on with the GM plant? Hey, what's happening with the Elio project? Those are questions that I get. And primarily because it's in my district, I assume I might get more than others. And with that being the case, the last time that Mr. Elio came in for a press conference, it was because I was being asked questions that I could not answer. And so I tried to identify who can answer those questions the best. And the answer is Paul Elio. And after speaking to him and asking him to come in, he did. And at that time, he acknowledged that he had not communicated as effectively as he should have with this area, with our community, and committed that he would do a better job. And so he's back here today doing that. So I'm encouraged for that reason.
Was it hard to convince him to come back to Shreveport?
He was excited about coming back. So it was not at all hard to convince him to come back. Matter of fact, he suggested that we align our calendars, get with the media. So it was really his suggestion that he would come back.
How do you hope citizens react to his visit?
I'm sorry?
How do you hope people react to his visit?
Well, you know, everyone has their opinions and they have the right to their opinions. I think that not only do I move forward from a position of strength by being informed, I think that the citizens do as well. So I think that there are those who would appreciate the fact that he did come back. But he has acknowledged that what they need and what we need now is, as the country song would say, a little less words and a lot more action as relates to moving forward. But I think that's what we're looking at doing, as I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming out. My commitment is that we will be talking to you more. Thank you so much.